I would be happy to have that pressure somehow because it's not easy, and I'm
Yeah.
proud to be in this family because and proud that they give me this pressure because I'm a representation of my whole family, right? Yeah.
Hi there, Shelomo. Solson, the host of the Teenage Impact Podcast, where we share stories, tips, specific strategies on how you as a teenage kid can overcome any adversity in life so you can make an impact. So whether you have mental health challenges like anxiety, depression, suicidal thoughts, or maybe you're being abused or you're being bullied or you're having challenges in school or your relationships, I've interviewed so far over 40 people from around the world on what they've gone through as a teen, how they overcame it, and how you can too. If you haven't done so already, there's a link in the description where I provide a free ebook. It's called The 52 Tips I Wish Someone Told Me in High School. And this is based off of my own perspective, based off of the interviews that I have done. And I focus a lot on mental health, school, finances, relationships, career. So go ahead, check it out. It's only 20 pages long and it's free. If you have a family member or a friend or a classmate who's in this funk, share the Teenage Impact Podcast with them because it is the best podcast out there for any teen to listen to if they're going through some type of funk and they want to get out of it. We share different stories and tips on how they can get out of their funk. Today's podcast guest is Nelson Jia Jun Ng. He is a student at the University of Southampton in the UK. He was born and raised in Malaysia, where he had to learn and perfect his English skills when he moved to the UK. He's also the founder of Project Ed, which is a nonprofit organization led by students. And what the nonprofit organization does, it helps tackle education inequality in Malaysia by helping and empowering underprivileged students in Malaysia to tackle their education dreams. He is ambitious. He has a passion for entrepreneurship and technology. In today's episode, we're going to talk about some of the struggles he went through as an only child, how he overcame it, and also some of the struggles he went through from moving from Malaysia to a brand new country, thousands of miles away, and how he made the best of it. So give it up for Nelson Jia Jun Ng. Thank you so much. We have Nelson tuning in from UK, man. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing? Thank you so much for inviting me.
No problem. He just came back from class, and pretty excited. But I know you moved to UK a while back for
Mhm.
college. But how
Right.
is Malaysia like? How's your life in
Well,
Malaysia?
right. I mean, Malaysia is a perfect place. I mean, I love Malaysia. Well, I'm a big advocate of Malaysia, and well, when I'm in the UK, I keep promoting Malaysia to other friends. So Malaysia is a in terms of culture wise, Malaysia is very rich in culture, and we have three main races: Malay, Chinese, and English, and that's why we speak different languages. For me, as a Malaysian Chinese, I speak English. Well, I mean, I learn English, Malay, and also Mandarin. So it's very diverse in this sense, and that's why it's amazing because of this huge diversity, we have incredible food, we have incredible arts and culture, and we have incredible people. Yeah. Mhm.
That's great. And what made you come to the UK?
Well, yeah, I mean, I I didn't choose to go to the UK, but rather because of an opportunity. I would put it this way, because I've received a scholarship to a government scholarship to actually pursue my tertiary education at the UK at the University of Southampton in the UK. Yeah.
Okay. And you mentioned to me when we were talking that you're the only child, correct?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of hardships with being the only child. Not the only you're the only child, but also right now you're the only grandchild too.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's, especially in the Asian culture, because I'm from the Asian culture too, there's a lot of
Mhm,
pressure on you. You don't want to
mhm.
be a disappointment. So tell us growing up how that was like and how much pressure you put on yourself.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, I'm the only parental grandchild. I mean, especially for Chinese, it's pretty unique and rare in some sense. I think growing up as the precious one seems to have a lot of stress. Well, I put it in this way: there are goods and bads for sure. The good ones is that, well, I get all the attention. I get to learn what I want to learn. It comes benefits. So the benefits are, you know, I get to learn piano, taekwondo, and also drawing, for examples. And but then because of that, it comes stress. Well, which is not a good one, because my family actually put a lot of emphasis on me, being the proud one for them. So because of that, I got to, well, I mean, I will have to put whole effort, while I'm learning all these stuffs, and I have to make sure that I'm the one of the best, or always be the best all my learnings, and especially in my class as well. I would always try to be the best in the class, academically, and also sports wise as well, trying to play, trying to be more competitive in sports, at sports, sorry. Yeah, and that's why I think goods and bads, but I really really appreciate what I gain. When I was young, I didn't know how to appreciate that, because like being a child, you'll be like, oh come on, when is it gonna stop? I mean, I'm gonna have to learn so much. But
Yeah.
then when you grow up, you realize that, hey, actually, it's I'm grateful for that, but I would also want to encourage parents, if possible, to ask their children or their child to, if they are interested in that, right? I mean, there's a difference.
Mm.
So if you force someone to learn, or if you let someone to learn it willingly, that the whole outcome will be different. So for my case, I wouldn't say I'm being forced to learn piano, but I was sort of being tricked to play piano when I was 5 year old, because my parents just asked me during my birthday, do you want a piano as birthday present? So so I was like, oh yeah, sure, why not? Being a 5 year old kid, right? So ever since then, I got to learn piano.
That's
So
amazing.
yeah,
And
so yeah,
I'm sure like if there's an only child listening to this and they're going through the same, I wouldn't call it challenges, but same situation where the parents like, oh, do this, do that. What would you tell them to alleviate that pressure from themselves?
right,
Do well
right.
in
Well,
everything.
oh, right, for sure. I mean, that's very important. To be fair, how well, my suggestion would be, try to know if you really like it. I mean, come on, if even if you are a child, you will sort of know if you really love it while you are doing that stuff. For example, when I was doing taekwondo, learning taekwondo, I was happy. Like, I was super happy. I was super excited for that, for all the classes. But then for piano, well, sometimes, but sometimes not. So, and this is a this is a pretty good indicator to see actually if you like it. And I'm a big advocate of, do things that you like. And because once you do the things that you like, you'll do it the best. And yeah, that's why even as a child, you have to make sure that you have this mutual respect between you and your parents, and make sure that your sound is being counted. Try to tell your parents that, hey, I love this and I probably don't like this. But then, based on mute, well, what I mean is that you don't go to that, I don't want to learn this, but rather justify to them and tell them, hey, I would love to learn more of this, rather than I would love, for example, I would love to go for more taekwondo sessions than piano sessions. So from there, you try to have a chat with your parents and make sure that both of you come to an agreement, aligned to what you and their what's it called, vision, right? So with
Mhm.
from there, then you guys, in some way, you actually elevate your stress, because you get to do what you want, and they get to elevate their stress on putting on you, and making sure both parties are cool. Yeah.
Open communication is important, definitely.
Yes, definitely.
And did you have that with your parents or?
Well, yes, I was kind of like a rebellious kid. So,
Mhm,
I mean, I didn't, I set a pretty bad example. I wasn't able to communicate nicely with them, but I did communicate in a kind of, I don't know, I remember it was not a good, nice way. I threw tantrum and say, oh, I don't want to go for, I didn't want to go for piano lessons and whatnot until when I'm old enough that I can reflect or I reflect back, I realized that
mhm,
this is not really a good way. Well, although I convey my message, but that may not be the best way to go forward.
mhm.
Yeah.
It seemed like you're a troublemaker. Were you a troublemaker?
Well, I mean, sort of. I
Uh-huh.
I will think that's a compliment for me.
Uh-huh. Gotcha. And now you got a scholarship to go to the university at the UK. What are you studying?
Well, I'm doing aerospace engineering.
Uh-huh.
Well, which is something really, really rare in Malaysia for a Malaysian student, because pretty much we don't really have an established aerospace field in Malaysia. Yeah, again, that comes to my passion, and I'm really interested in aircrafts. That's why I chose to study aerospace engineering. Yeah.
When you first moved to the UK, you knew English, but you said you had some trouble doing it. What kind of trouble was that?
Right. Well, I mean, although I learned English when I was young, since young, sorry, since 5 or 6 year, formal education, but I didn't really have the chance to practice English because two reasons. One, I'm I'm from this rural area of Malaysia where people don't really speak English. Most of our communication medium will be Mandarin or Malay. That's why I don't really get a chance to practice while I was in school. So that's one. And second thing is that we have this mentality, right? And in these rural areas in Malaysia, people will think you are slightly higher, like in a higher hierarchy than them when you
Yeah.
speak English. Like they feel, oh, why are you being so pretentious? Trying to be slightly higher rank, being so high class. So yeah, that's why I didn't get to practice a lot because I don't want to get look at in a different way. So that's why I chose to compromise and
Uh-huh.
speak Malay and Mandarin until until I study my A levels in KL, Kuala Lumpur, the capital of Malaysia. With that, I only had the opportunity to practice my English, the conversational English. I was perfectly all right with my written English and also my oral English, but then I didn't get to practice my conversational English, so I can't really speak that well. I couldn't speak that well when I first enrolled into my A levels, my
Hmm.
pre-university program, my high school basically. Then throughout that 2 years and in KL in Kuala Lumpur, I got to practice that a lot. And well, I was like, oh wow, I now have to speak English. Like I wasn't aware how much
Yeah.
different it was. Like I was like, okay, I
Uh-huh.
get an A for my English, so well should be fine. Until I arrived KL, Kuala Lumpur, and I was like, oh okay, that's a lot of difference in terms of
Uh-huh.
how you convey your message, right? It's very
Yeah.
important for us to convey and make sure people understand what we're trying to convey. That's how I realized how important English was, and I started to practice. And well, should be fine now. My English should be all right.
How long were you struggling for?
Or speaking.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I mean, until I realized it was about 6 months,
Okay.
like really, really put in effort. It's probably 1.5 year that
Uh-huh.
I actually, well, and I'm still continue learning. If I were to put it this way, I'm consistently learning still. But then I realized this after about a half and a year, and well, about, yeah, 6 months after I enrolled to the A levels. And I was like, oh, okay, I probably need to take my initiative to learn this and put in effort. Yeah, to actually get this
Hmm.
really, really good. Yeah.
And so you took initiative to get really, really good. What were some of your insecurities while learning and being in college at the UK?
Oh, of course. Well, coming to the UK, well, first of all, it's another whole world, right? Whole new world. So I took a 12 hours flight. So it's literally another part of the world. And with that, people have different accent. Like it's very diverse. You meet people from all around the world. And with that, well, in terms of English conversational, practicing my conversational English wise, well, I feel that I didn't dare to step that first step when I first arrived, because I was like, oh, they're gonna be good. Will they actually laugh at my accent? Will they actually or judge my accent somehow? Yeah, I was a bit shy in the first place, and just to protect myself somehow
Uh-huh.
with this mentality. But then later did I know that I really need to come out of this comfort zone, and making sure that I put in effort to talk to people,
Uh-huh.
and making sure I came to this realization that it's not all about the accent, but rather it's all about the message that you convey. As long as they can understand, that's
That's
perfectly
true.
fine. What kind
Yeah.
of accent do you have? Yeah, it's a change of mindset, to be fair.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. From that change of mindset, it literally opened up my world. I would talk to people no matter how broken my accent was, and and I would try to talk to people firstly in those topics that I'm more confident with, like more passionate, because that's how I build my confidence,
Uh-huh.
and slowly go to those which it's out of my comfort zone,
Uh-huh.
right? Some very weird topics, probably something regarding well, philosophy, history, English history, and all the stuff which I totally don't understand. That's out of my comfort zone. Yeah, so yeah, that's how I actually learned, and I purposefully learned it because I know that's how I can improve. Yeah.
What were some of the things you did? I mean, did you approach strangers? You said you went outside your comfort zone. What
Right.
exactly did you do?
Right. Oh, absolutely. Well, I was pretty fortunate that I got to travel around. When I'm free, I take the chance to go for a solo trip. I most I would prefer to do solo trip when I go go for traveling, rather than having friends. Why? Not because that I want to, but I tend to do that because that's how I can improve my conversational English, because I would force myself to talk to other people. Because if I were to get the direction right, if I were to order food and whatnot, I need to talk, and that's how I can practice. And with that, when I go out, I would I would start a conversation with strangers. Let's say, for example, when I'm in a train. So while rather than just looking at my phone, scrolling Facebook, Instagram, I would talk to random strangers who are sitting next to me or opposite of me. From there, I get to practice and learn their perspectives. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it actually changed my mindset a lot. It was tough in the first
Mm-hmm.
place, like for the first trial, but then after the first trial, you think that, hey, it's actually not that difficult.
It's so true what you're doing, that you have to get outside your comfort zone, because I was the same way, because I mean, English was not my first language. I learned English, I think, at
Right.
4 or 5 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I've been speaking English since I was 5, but I had this insecurity because I was in speech class. I was in this class where it was for students that English was a second language. Every time I gave a speech, people would smile, laugh, and people would make fun of me for my accent and how I spoke. I developed this
Right.
insecurity up until college. And then when I wouldn't even talk to people on the phone because I was insecure about how I spoke. But up until I think at college, I started speaking to people, and then post college, I started giving speeches. I started going to networking events and talking to these strangers, getting outside my comfort zone, and that
Mm-hmm.
was so easy. And
Right.
you bring up a great point, because I see people from other countries that come to the United States, try to speak English, and and they're like, "Oh, I don't want to speak. How's my English?" I tell them,
Mm-hmm.
"Hey, your English is fine. Just keep on speaking. The more you speak, the better you'll get, and people are not going to judge you. If they do judge you, then let
Definitely.
them judge you." Yeah.
Definitely. I mean, that's a really, really good point. I love what you're saying. If if they judge you, let them judge you.
Yeah.
And it's all about you that
Uh-huh.
matters, and not about other people's judgment. Yeah.
Hmm.
Mhm.
And you're also a founder of an organization called Project Ed, correct?
Yep. Oh, that's perfect. I mean, I'm glad that you get the name correctly. A lot of people will call it Project ED, Project.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So you got it
Yeah.
correctly. It's Project Ed. Yeah.
And what's it about?
Project Ed is a student-led nonprofit organization which is based in Malaysia, which we empower underprivileged students to pursue their tertiary education dreams through providing scholarships and digital mentorship and also educational workshops. So what we
Mhm.
do is that we actually, our scholarship part, we call it, we have this first and only, I would arguably say it first and only knowledge, first and only student-led scholarship fund in Malaysia. We call it Knowledge is Free Scholarship Program. What we do is that we have a lot of scholars and students. What I mean by scholars is that scholarship recipients and also students who are in university, they actually contribute 45 ringgit Malaysia, which is about 10 USD dollars a month to this scholarship fund. And with that amount of money, we have about 70 scholars coming in, like 70 contributors right now. So with that amount of money, we support and provide scholarship for students to pursue their tertiary education at local public universities in Malaysia.
Wow.
And yeah, that's the scholarship part. For now, we have 8 scholars with us, and we are intending to expand to 20 scholars by the end of this year. And that's part of it, the financial assistance. And for the non-financial assistance, which is we call it knowledge assistance, we run workshops in rural areas in Malaysia, with especially in the secondary schools, so that we share information about the potential pathways for them after secondary schools to tertiary education. So that's one. And yeah, with that, we have reached out to more than 3,000 students right now, ever since 2017. While when we started, that's been a really privilege for me to actually work with all these students. And also it's all a student-led organization, so they are all students like us. All my teammates are students as well, and we run it voluntarily, because we believe that knowledge is free, education is expensive, and we want to share our experience and our knowledge to others in terms of and empower them to actually achieve their best, achieve their potential. Yeah.
That's great that you're doing this because most people go to school and they just think of, the education portion, but they don't think about giving back to their home country.
Mhm.
And what drove you to do that?
Very funny. Do you want to listen the real truth?
Sure.
so 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 the real truth is that my first intention was, hey, I've scholarship gave me some allowance,
Uh-huh.
and when I look into my bank account, I was like, you know what? Well, I can't deal with so much of money. So what can I do with the money? So I was like, what can I do? So my first thought was, if I were to contribute a little bit, a little amount of my a small amount of my scholarship allowance every month to do something good, that'll be perfect. So with that, coming from a rural area in Malaysia, I thought, if I can actually create a scholarship, and I was once in this situation where I can't continue to pursue my tertiary education without scholarships. So yeah, I sort of dropped out after my A levels because I wasn't able to. I didn't get any scholarship, and I was like, although I have offers from university in the UK and US, I was like, okay, probably I would just drop out if I don't get any scholarships, because I can't go for tertiary education without scholarships. I can't
Mhm.
afford this huge amount of tuition fee. And because the course that I want to study aerospace engineering, which is pretty rare in Malaysia, and we don't really have such course in Malaysia. So I have to pursue my tertiary education overseas. And with that, I'm so fortunate that I got a scholarship, and I know it's time for me to go give back to the community and to the students that once I was once in their shoes, you know. So yeah,
Mhm.
that's why I started this initiative. It started only as a non-profit social project, which expanded, and we thought it should be legalized, and therefore we registered as an NGO. Yeah.
Man, that's really powerful, man. You come into a different country. A lot of people are worried about money. You know, money is a big factor,
Definitely.
especially when you're in college. In college, you don't have that much money, but you know, there's a mentality. The more you give, the more you get back. And right
Definitely.
now, you know, whatever money you get, even though it might not be a lot,
Hmm.
the many successful people believe, hey, you know, 10% or 5%, whatever you can give, you give back to others. And
Definitely.
it's a little bit like an abundance mindset too. There's a lot of money to spread around other people too.
Definitely. Well, I totally agree with what you're saying. I personally believe that everyone's small effort is collectively powerful to make a
Uh,
change to the community, and that's how we run Project Ed, and that's how we actually make sure all our contributors aware of this. Yeah. Mhm.
mhm. Absolutely. Were you raised in the village? Because I read somewhere that you also raised in some of the villages in Malaysia.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm born and raised in this place called Pontian.
Okay.
It's a fishing village in somewhere south to Kuala Lumpur, our capital, and yeah, and I have a very nice and cool childhood when I was young. When I'm in that village, I got to catch fish. I got to catch spiders and
Mhm.
play with them. I got to play marbles and yeah, all these kind of traditional games and stuff like that. Yeah. Mhm.
Mhm. When you came to UK, did you carry that pressure of, hey, you can't be a disappointment to your parents or your family? Did you carry that pressure on you?
Right, right. That's a very good point. Yes, I do. Especially to my family because I'm the only child who got into. I mean, I'm the only one in my family who got into university. Like gener, I'm a first gen college student. So because of that, I put kind of a lot of pressure to make sure that I get good grades. I'm making sure that I achieve the best that I can achieve in university, in terms of academic, in terms of involvements in extracurricular activities. So just to make sure that I do my best. So yeah, I do have I wouldn't say pressure. Even well, I would put it as pressure, but then I would be happy to have that pressure somehow because it's not easy and I'm
Yeah.
proud to be in this family because and proud that they give me this pressure because I'm a representation of my whole family, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So you're saying pressure is good.
Right. I mean, it's how you
Mhm.
look at things, right? It's all about the mindset. So
Perspective, absolutely.
yeah, it's the perspective. Sorry. Right. So well, probably before this I wouldn't think so because I would be like, oh, come on, I have to do my best. I have to, make sure that I'm the best in this university, in terms of academic, in terms of extracurricular activities. But then changing a mindset means that, well, I will do my best and make my family proud because they can't do that. Let me do that for them, right? So with that, I actually have this positive mindset and making sure that what I do is what my family will be proud of. That I make sure I do the best, rather
Mm.
than rather than um, rather than having this mindset of my family pressured me to be the best. I think that I should be the best so that I can be a proud family member of my family, right?
Mhm.
So that's a change of mindset, but it's more powerful and more positive in this way. Mhm.
So for you, you're changing the mindset of pressure, saying, "Hey, make it good pressure, not negative pressure."
Yes,
And to change your language, saying, "Oh, I have to do this," versus, "I get to do this." You know, I get to do this for me. I get
yes,
to
you
do this
should
for
be
my
proud, right? Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, you should be
absolutely.
proud that you get a chance to pursue tertiary education in
Mhm.
overseas. I mean, for my case, because not a lot of people actually get to do that. So you should be proud and make sure that, hey,
Mhm.
I'm proud. So I have to
Mhm.
make sure I do my best, right?
And what do you do when you start feeling negative pressure?
Oh, well, I mean, that's very true. That's a very good question. A lot of time it's trying to get a balance, right? So
Hmm.
when you when you have positive. Sometimes something strikes into it to you, then you'll be negative. You just want to be more positive at the positive end, right? More inclined to the positive end. So for me, my way to de-stress and get rid of those negative pressures is to play basketball. Well, I'm a huge basketball fan. I'm a
Yeah.
Kobe Bryant fan. So, so yeah, I played basketball since I was young. Yeah, I feel that whenever I'm stressed, I would just go to the court. I mean, in the UK, I'll just book a court. Well, when I was in Malaysia, there's a basketball court behind my house. Well, it's not mine. I mean, it's a public basketball court. So I'll just go there and shoot some shots and try to reflect, trying to sweat and get rid of them, thinking that those negative pressures and those negative thoughts will actually leave my body with the sweat. And after that, I'll just go back and take a good bath, good shower, and try to enjoy that shower. And after that, boom, it's a refresh. It's a refresh Nelson. So it's a refresh me. So I get to refresh and try to think more positive and think of solutions. How am I gonna deal with the stress?
Absolutely. That brings up a good point, because we all need certain ways to deal with our stress.
Definitely.
Do you have any last tips for someone that just came to another country, adjusting to the culture, learning the language, trying to live up to their family's expectations?
For sure. Well, I have one. Well, I mean, definitely, I have one really, really point that I would love to share with everyone is to be open. Being someone who comes from another country to settle down in a foreign country for a few years, well, for studies or for good, you need to be open, right? Especially from an Asia, especially from different continents where cultures are very, very different. Let's say Asia to to a UK, which is Caucasian countries, so which is a very different culture. So for me, is to be open, right? You need to make sure that you're so open that, what I mean by open is that you need to you need to understand what are they trying to do, and you need to be able to respect them, but then at the same time not being judgmental, right? You should be open that, oh, okay, I can accept that you do this, but I is it the same to my value? If it is not, well, I probably won't do, but I won't judge you if you do it. It's just that I won't do it, right? So that's what I mean by open. And you need to open that. You can't close it like being very judgmental. Oh, no, this is not good. This is bad. So this actually closes down your opportunity to learn, to actually learn other perspectives. So you should be open, but at the same time, uphold your own principles and values, right? So yeah, that's the thing. And well, that applies to what you do in life as well. When you meet different people from diverse background, when you strike conversations with random people, when they talk about something which you don't really agree, but then you should be open to listen whatever they have, process and share your thoughts, rather than, hey, we should stop this conversation right now because I don't want to listen to this. That's a very closed mindset. You should be very open to that, accept them, and be respectful. And also later on, trying to share your points with them. They'll be more than happy to accept what you're trying to what you're trying to share those perspectives that you have, because different people have different perspectives coming from their background, right? So yeah, I would totally suggest everyone to be more open, but definitely to uphold your personal values. Yeah.
Great point. And Nelson, where can people find you?
Well, yeah, I mean, you can always reach out to me via LinkedIn. I'm pretty sure you will share it on the on the notes, right?
Yes.
So, or you can find me on Instagram as well. My Instagram account will be now I am underscore Nelson and then JJ. So yeah, I'm pretty sure you will put it on the
Yeah, I'll
under
put it on.
the notes
I'll
as well.
put
Yeah,
it on the description. Awesome.
yeah, for sure.
Thank you, Nelson, for taking the time to do this interview. I know I reached out to you on LinkedIn, and we got to know each other a little bit more.
Definitely.
And I'm
Yep.
wishing you the best of luck. And
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Yeah.
if you're ever in Philly, let me know.
Yeah, for sure, for sure, for sure.
Nelson was a very unique interview because this is the first time I'm interviewing someone from a different country. And man, I can really relate to Nelson. Although he did come from a different country and I didn't come from a different country, my parents did. I was very insecure about speaking English, and so was he. What Nelson said really stuck to me. He said when he came in his first year, he said he can either stick to his comfort zone or he can step outside his comfort zone. He chose to step outside his comfort zone, talk to as many people so he can become a more confident English speaker. He took solo trips. He talked to as many people as possible. And soon enough, even though his English is not perfect, he's continuously learning, but he's not insecure about how he speaks with his English. And he might not have the perfect pronunciation. He might not have the perfect grammar like me because, I make a lot of grammatical errors. He's not in his comfort zone. He talks to as many people as possible to be confident as possible. And he even founded a nonprofit organization where he's giving back to his home country. He's very grateful for the opportunity that he was provided. And he said he has some extra money, which that's why his nonprofit organization started, so he can give back to the extra money he does have and give it back, and making sure that the underprivileged students in his country can get the education opportunity over here. So I'm really truly grateful for Nelson and the knowledge he provided, because I'm sure a lot of people from other countries that want to speak English or want to speak the native language of the country they are in, he's providing that, hey, you shouldn't care about what other people think. If people judge you, let them judge you. Thank you, Nelson. And if you haven't done so already, if you're not following me on Instagram, my handle name is at Shelomo Solson. Go ahead and follow me. I provide phenomenal tips on how you can overcome some of your challenges as a teen. I've had a lot of teenagers message me and telling me, saying how much of an inspiration I am, and even asking me for advice. I'm not a guru, I'm not a mental health expert, but what I can do is share some of my experiences and insight with you. Go ahead, follow my Instagram handle at Shlomo Solson, and until next time, peace.